Among the very first recordings that I made when I started this channel were recordings about various types of democracies worldwide. I had recorded the American delegate system. I had recorded the South African proportional representative democracy. I had recorded the French mixed democracy. I had recorded the Westminster type of democracy. I had recorded constitutional monarchies, and so on and so forth. Kindly rewatch them. This is a follow-up to the American democracy or American Constitution. Inasmuch as you may write the best and clearest Constitution, but you'll be surprised that some things crop up which the Constitution makers did not anticipate, like what is now happening with the American election, presidential election. I will start this way. No time in American history have we ever had a situation where, okay, the Constitution says that you are elected the president once, and then you stand for a re-election once. Now, in many cases where the president has lost in his first, he has won the first election, but in his re-election he has lost, many presidents forget about it. But Trump has done the unimaginable. He has gone back, and he stands a very high chance of being on the ballot paper. That one was not envisioned by the drafters of the American Constitution. And again, when last year, when I was comparing various constitutions worldwide, it did not even occur to me that somebody who has won once, because we have people who lost several times and came back. A person like Richard Nixon was a vice president. When the president completed his term, Richard Nixon tried and failed. And he was the vice president of that president. Now, when the president had served the 2 terms and Richard Nixon was to contest, he lost that election. And then he went back to his home state of California and contested and became the governor of California. That is when, several years later, he went back and contested for the presidency of the USA and won 2 terms. That was a case of a vice president who wanted to inherit the presidency but failed and went to his state, became a governor, and then came back and became the president. We all know what happened to Nixon later. But a case, we have had so many presidents who have tried re-elections and failed, but they have never even offered themselves. Now there is this scenario that it is possible that Donald Trump may contest and win. What does that mean? It means that he was the 45th president and he's going to be the 47th president. That one was never imagined. Again, the other thing is, he is campaigning against Madam Nikki Haley for the Republican ticket. It is quite possible on paper at this time that Madam Nikki Haley may win the party nomination. And once she has won, she is free to appoint anybody. And by anybody, I mean she's free to appoint anybody from her party, from the other parties, or even an independent to be her running mate. Are you reading my mind? I'm trying to say that if she wins the party seat, it is possible on paper for her to nominate Donald Trump as the vice president. Well, there's a Swahili saying that hakuna anayejua rangi ya kinyonga isipokuwa kinyonga mwenyewe na Mungu. Nobody knows on how Donald Trump would react if he was offered a running mate by that lady. He could accept, he could reject, he could do anything. But I'm saying that that is on paper, and what his reaction is only known by only himself and the Almighty. I want also to say here, even though I had holistically talked about it when I was covering various constitutions, including the American Constitution, I'm saying here that okay, let us start with the party that has the president in the White House. It is unimaginable for that party, for anybody to offer himself as a candidate. So when the DNC, Democratic National Convention, meets, it is a foregone conclusion that the President Biden will be renominated. And he will be given a chance to nominate a running mate. Obviously, we can guess that he will appoint Kamala Harris, Waluya wanasema Kamala Harris as his running mate. Failure to do that, it is unimaginable. The civil war in that party and so on may be costly. And if you look at their relationship, it has been more cordial than not. So we can easily say that out of the DNC, Democratic National Convention, they are going to nominate Trump, who will also nominate Kamala as his running mate. On the other side, RNC, Republican National Congress, is when they will nominate their presidential candidate. I have not seen, in many such cases, you may find that the two leading people have fought so much a fight that to an extent that it is really hard for the first person to nominate the second. You see, the fight can be so bad that he would rather appoint another person. So we are watching for the RNC, Republican National Convention, to see what has happened. But then, as we were waiting for that, also take note that there are some cases that Trump is, although all the opinions show that the Republican ticket is more or less his, but he still has several lawsuits I remember one state, which I can't recall the name, had said that if you have watched my tape on American, I say each and every state a candidate has to apply. Now you may even decide to not to apply in a few states, and your name will not appear on the ballot of that state. And we have even some candidates who apply just for their own state, and you see Wajakoya sio peke yake, watu ya kutingiza mizizi. There are so many. Some will just come and have his name appear on his state only. Others are there to block somebody from getting enough delegates to be declared president. There are several reasons why they do so. So there is this state that declared that Donald Trump will not appear on its ballot paper because of the actions to the Congress. You remember the January, is it January 5th, the action that happened where Donald Trump is believed to have incited his followers to go and enter the Congress. So it is quite possible that several states may bar him. Now when they bar him, you'll find that assuming enough states bar him, because he's supposed to get a certain number of delegates. Now, if all the other states that have not barred him, if he calculates and finds that even if he gets all the delegates from those states, he still cannot reach the number that is required to be on the ballot paper, then he will step down. And that one brings me to another point where you have had candidates in other countries, because most of my viewers are from Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, a few in South Africa, and Africans in diaspora. So I'm talking to an African person because we have almost similar, although South Africa has what we call proportional representative democracy, but most of the people in that region have the same background as Kenyans have. Now you find that in our democracy, candidates step down for other people. You find that I can give an example during the Pentagon of ODM. I think Joe Nyaga stood up and said he was stepping down for Raila. That is our system. You step down for somebody, or you step down and say you leave everything, the candidates to decide whatever they do. But in the American system, you don't step aside. You see, as we are talking now, there are only two candidates, and that is Trump and Madam Nikki Haley. Other candidates, when they were withdrawing, if you listen to them properly, they said that they are suspending their campaign. What does that mean? It means that, for example, if something happens and Donald Trump ends up not being on the ballot paper, as I've said, that several states may bar him from being on. That if you watch my tape on American Constitution, you'll find how each state has somebody on the ballot paper. Now, if so many states block him to an extent that it is obvious that he cannot raise enough candidates, even if he won, there's no way he can raise enough candidates to have the minimum number that is required, then he will withdraw. He will suspend his campaign. That is what they usually do that. And then those who had suspended before will come in. They will come in and do that. And that is why in the US, when somebody is bowing out of if somebody is bowing out of the race, usually he or she says, I'm suspending my candidature. You may also have heard when parties are doing the nomination, we have something that is called Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday, you see, in America, during the presidential election is when they elect on one day. But when they are looking for delegates, they move state to state, state to state. You find that this time there is so many states holding their convention. Next week, but you'll find that on Super Tuesday is the one single day that has most. Let's say every day they have convention is 2 or 3, but Super Tuesday is the time that they had many states doing their delegates on the same day. So it is called Super Tuesday. As I said, that the fight that they are having, although if I look at it, I have not seen Haley and Trump fighting so much. But then, of course, at this time, Haley stands very, very little chance of being on the ballot paper. And maybe she's standing up to be the running mate for Trump. Remember, Trump and his former vice president are no longer on good terms. Maybe she's positioning herself, or she's placing herself in such a way that should Trump run and fail to dislodge Biden, then she'll say, I told you so. Constitution learning, the way I've learned, I was taught Constitution by James Nyaseda, former police boss. And he taught me law and Constitution and has made it. He used to boast that there is, in his class, he's the best law teacher outside a law school. And I've seen most of his students are as good as lawyers just because Mr. Eliud James Nyaseda taught us. Now you know.